Hi, I'm Justin, and welcome to the Video Voice series. And today we have some frequently asked questions I wanted to go over with you guys. And a very, very common one is my voice cracks or my voice breaks. And very, very common for both alto, soprano singers or tenor and baritone singers. It happens for everybody. And one of those things is all about tension. We talked about tension in one of our videos in the past, and we were saying how we can get rid of that through less squeezing in our throat and really providing more openness and less tension in our tongue and jaw. So this is related. So first step is get rid of the tension. We need to get rid of that tension because the breaking is happening from the back. If you really want to get to know it, it's basically what's happening between your vocal cords and the epiglottis. And we really need to make sure that these parts of our body are allowing air to flow through. So again, air is the fuel that is being sent through our vocal cords. It's not being sent into it. And that's a common misconception. A lot of people think, well, I'm singing with my throat, so I'm going to sing into my throat. And it's the last thing you want to do. I will repeat, it's the last thing you want to do. Let the air flow through your throat and not into it. So this is the first perception we need to understand, is that if we sing out of our throat, then we can let that breakage get away from us a little bit. So we can get rid of tension and we can allow air to flow. So that's the first thing, all about getting rid of that. So the tension is going to be one thing we get rid of, and let's say we get rid of all that tension. Well, now what? Well, it depends on a couple different things. Our vowels is going to be number 2. What's our vowels doing, or what are the vowels doing, and making sure that they're going to be moving through enough openness and space. So, second thing is space. We need that space, and we again spoke about this in the previous video, and letting that space just open up as much as we can. If we allow for space, then that air and that sound will flow and it won't have any constriction. So we want that space as well. So again, we won't crack into things. Now, it depends where you're singing, and that's going to be pitch and range. That's number 3 here. And with pitch and range, we might be in a specific spot in our voice. Now, very, very commonly, I relate this particular question to where it's being placed, and it happens to be at a very particular point, and that's called a passaggio. Now, you might be like, Justin, what is this fancy sounding word? A passaggio is like a border, kind of like a roof, but imagine a roof made of jello. And that roof can be moved a little bit. It is the border between both our head voice and our chest voice. So I have a head voice up here, and I have a chest voice down here. And both of those have 2 different placements. The thing is that the connection between them has a border, and that border is the passaggio. And you can tell where it is. I'll give you a very embarrassing example. So what we have here is border that we can sing through, and if we're not careful, what will happen is you get this really nasty screeching sound like that. What is that? That's where we're leaning into our passaggio. We're singing into our throat. That passaggio is trying to determine, where does that air go? Does it go up here or does it go down here? And what we need to do is have enough openness and enough space and enough determination as to where to put that air. So, listen again. Let's see if we can correct that. You can still hear it. If you listen closely, there's a little click that happens. Oh, there it was. Let's try it one more time. And there it is. See? Now, if you get really, really good with it, you can start actually getting rid of that clicking sound. So where you can start connecting these 2 parts of your voices. So you get this ooh, really, really smoothly. And it really is about trying to make sure you have a smooth connection between these 2 voices. So that way chest voice and head voice is no longer 2 voices. It's just Justin. So I only have just my one voice going through. So that way it sounds like the same thing. All right, so we don't want to sound like 2 different voices and 2 different people, right? What we really want is that voice to sound connected. So often, a lot of my students will be like, well, I'm trying to push this really, really high note. I'm trying to get up to that point, and often they squeeze into it and the break happens. It's because that passaggio is being treated like a ceiling and not a doorway. I'll say it again. The passaggio, this wall of jello, is being treated like a ceiling and not a doorway. We need to think of those high notes as something we can just go into, like as if we're walking into a new room. Okay? So walking through our passaggio is going to be the key to get that. All right? So that way, when we go for these really crazy high notes, you don't go into a space of tension and cracking. And we will display that in some of our warm-ups on the piano. I'll see you there.